to my Creative Art Studio and YouTube channel. I'm Lisa, and this video will go over the instructions for putting together the Kangaroo card, which is in the May class by mail. So for this card, I'm using this bundle, which will only be available until the end of June. So if you're interested in this one, let me know and we can get that ordered for you. And this bundle I think it's super cute. It's got the kangaroo with the pouch, and I'll show you how the die cuts that for you. And then another small little kangaroo, and then some pieces that fit in the pouch. And the pieces that work with the pouch are the little baby kangaroo, the flower bunch, the heart bunch, and the set of presents. So those all fit in or with the little mechanism for the pouch, and I'll show you that. And also there's some words that also work with the mechanism in the pouch, which is thanks a bunch, it's your day, hello, love you much, just a note just for you. So those are very small sentiment stamps that fit in the little piece that goes inside the pouch. And then there's some other fun little pieces, a birthday hat, little butterfly and heart, and a little envelope, and then some other words, hello baby, hopping by just to say hi, happy for you. So some, and some grass. So some other things that you can do to create a really nice image on the front of your card. Now the dies that go with it, I like to keep my dies and stamps together in one, so I use these adhesive magnetic sheets inside my stamp case to keep the dies together. So we have dies for all three of the kangaroo images, then the hearts, presents, and bouquet of flowers. There's also a die for the little envelope stamp, the heart, the birthday hat, and the little butterfly. And then this piece is the little mechanism that works for the pouch. So and that's what we're going to do in this card, is we're going to work with that mechanism. So in your kit, you have your card base, a piece of cardstock. This is the pool party, and this is from an old Stampin' Up! Set that was a little bit textured. It's pretty cardstock. It was a 12 by 12 sheet. Then some designer series paper that looks, like paint, like abstract painting. It's kind of pretty. A little shipping tag that I ran through this embossing folder to get sort of that also similar kind of paint swatchy dimension to it. And then you have a circle die cut from vellum. You have your little kangaroo image that has been die cut already, and like I mentioned, the die cut already creates this little opening in the pouch. So that's kind of cool that the die cut does that for you, makes it very simple. You also have some the set of presents. I thought that was the most generic, I guess, for this stamped image. And then the little slide mechanism, and I stamped just for you in the Bermuda Bay to coordinate with all of this. You also have a piece of ribbon and some fun little ball embellishment kind of ribbon too. So that's what's in your kit. If you really want this to be a baby card and you let me know, then I gave you this one instead of the presents, and he will just pop out of the pouch like that. So that was just an optional thing, because sometimes people need lots of baby cards, or I guess a few baby cards. So those are all the pieces. Let's get started putting the card together. So we're going to do most of the card and then color the kangaroo image. So this is 4 1/4 by 11. So this is cut a little bit different than some of our standard cards. We usually cut them at 8.5 by 5.5, but this one we went 4 1/4 by 11, fold it in half, give it a good crease. Okay, so, and that is your card base, and we're gonna go with a vertical opening on your card. So now we're just gonna build some, just some pieces to just decorate the front of this card. So let's start with this piece of pool party cardstock, and I'm gonna just put this. It is 5.5 long by, let's see, what is the dimension on the width? It is 2 inches wide. So 5.5, it's going to go top to bottom, and I want this just off to the side with a little bit of the brown showing on the edge. So I'm going to go right up to the top and then try and keep that edge equal. And if it's a little bit long, you can come, I mean, mine is just barely over the edge. You can come in and trim any of that if you need to. Mine is so close, I probably could have just left it. I'm not really getting much off there. Okay, so that's that piece, and then we're gonna do the same thing, just glue down this designer series paper piece. I love how the double-sided paper just gives you options. And it doesn't really matter which way it goes, and some of your paper might have a little bit more of the darker blue in there. But I am going to try and keep these 3 edges equal. Okay, so that's that. And then this tag is really just a decorative piece. It's not serving any other purpose. With the ribbon, you can, now I'm going to have this piece over to the side here. So you might not want your ribbon, you know, coming across both ways. You might want it off more to this side, and you can do that by just putting your ribbon through and then maybe using a piece of twine to tie it here, or you can staple it right here. That's a neat look too. You can also try and tie it such that you're getting your ends to go in this direction. Okay, so I'm going to just do a simple knot there, and then I'm going to just trim this down a little shorter. It's a little bit longer than I'd like. Okay, so there's my tag, and I'm also going to just glue that down onto this card front. And just off to the side. It's really just a decorative piece just to give kind of a base for this kangaroo to be sitting on. So we can go ahead and put this vellum down, but I think I'm going to wait because vellum is a really fun piece of paper to work with. It's partially see-through, and so it can kind of lighten and soften a background and provide a nice base for an image. But the trick with vellum is you can often see the adhesive. So what I want to do is I want to wait until I'm going to put my kangaroo on there, and then that way I can flip this piece over, and this is where I can put my adhesive. Okay, so I'm just going to hold off on that and also this piece because that's going to be my last add to the front of the card. So now I want to do the kangaroo, and I'm going to do some watercoloring again. And so I'm going to show something a little bit different than we did in the masculine card. So I am going to use watercolor pencils again. I did pull out the early espresso just because it's a good brown for watercoloring the kangaroo. And then I've got some of the Stampin' Write markers. So I did stamp this image with the Stays On ink so that you can watercolor, but you can't use the Stampin' Blends, the alcohol markers with Stays On. So you'll have to pull out a different type of coloring tool. And if you don't have these particular ones, any watercolor pencils or crayons or markers will work. All right, so I'm going to start with just the little presents. Most of that I'm doing, I'm going to do with these three colors. I chose Pumpkin Pie, Bermuda Bay, and Pool Party because the Bermuda Bay and Pool Party match with these colors. Again, the beauty of Stampin' Up! And color coordination. And then I wanted a little pop of color, so I thought orange would be nice. I'm going to do Pool Party directly onto this present. Oh, I like the brush tip end. So I'm going to just color this one direct. Okay. And then I'm also going to color the bow on this one direct with the Pumpkin Pie. Okay, so I haven't done any watercoloring on the image yet. All right, and then I want a lighter color of the Pumpkin Pie for this other present. So I'm going to just scribble a little bit on a non-porous surface. You could use a glass plate, or here I'm just using one of my acrylic blocks, bringing in my water brush, or if you have, my brush is a little bit wet, so I'm going to just tap a little bit of that off on paper towel. If you don't have a water brush, you could just use still a little bit wet. You could use a water brush or a paintbrush and just a little jar of water. Okay, so just getting a little bit lighter color there. And then with the Bermuda Bay, I'm also going to put a little bit on here. I'm going to clean my brush off, and I'm just using paper towel to just kind of brush that off. And sometimes I'll squeeze the end with the paper towel if my brush is a little bit too wet. Pick up a little bit of color, and I'm just looking to just get a little bit of color on here on this present. Just lightly like that. Again, cleaning off my brush for the next time that I will need it. And then I'm going to bring in my Bermuda Bay and go directly on here just to add a little. And I mean, you could make these presents all various colors. I was just staying kind of neutral, not too much color going on. So there's my presents. I stamped the word "Just for You" in the Bermuda Bay. That's ready. And now what's left, I'm going to clean off this. So if it's wet enough, you can just wipe it right off on to your paper towel. If not, you can get a little bit of water on there to clean that off. Okay, and now I want to color the kangaroo, and I'm just going to use two colors, the Early Espresso watercolor pencil, and then I'm going to use a little bit of Blushing Bride of the Stampin' Write marker to give a few little spots of pink. So if you've already watched the masculine card, that's where I did a bunch of watercoloring with the pencil crayons, the colored pencils. And I'm just really just getting some color down, and I usually put it where I want it to be a little bit darker. And then what I'll do is I'll brush that out to the other areas of the image. And I'm really not too worried about how this is looking right now, because the water brush will really just smooth all of that out, and it's pretty cool how that works. Okay, so just double check that my water brush is clear of any other colors. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to just go over top of that and see how it just smooths that out. I just love it. To me, it makes, I don't know, this is almost therapeutic, right? And it just such a great look, and simple. It's a simple technique. And as I've said before, right, less is more. So start off with a small amount, and then if for whatever reason you think, you know what, no, I want more brown on this kangaroo, you can add more, always add more. It's harder to take it away, although you could, if you know, you accidentally got it down before you took the water over top of it. If you had a little bit too much color down, you could just use an eraser and take some of it away. So I'm really happy with that. I like how that looks. I just wanted a little bit of subtle color on there. Clean off my brush. And now I'm going to I think I'm going to do a little bit of direct pink. I want a nice pink ear, inside part of the ear, and a nice pink nose. And then I'm going to do some watercoloring to get a little bit lighter pink for a little cheek, little rosy cheek, and a little bit maybe on the kangaroo's hands and feet. Okay, so just a little bit of subtle color adding to that image. All right, that is it for coloring. I'll clean that up, put that away, and now we're ready to finish off this card. So what I suggest is, so this is the little mechanism. There's a die cut, in the bundle, the die set, that cuts this piece. So just this piece, and you can stamp first and center it so that you get it exactly right. But they are photopolymer stamps, so it's pretty easy to get that lined up. So here's the piece, the die that cuts that image, and then any of these small words, like here's one that says just a note. Once you've die cut this piece, then it's pretty easy to line this up because it's a photopolymer stamp, and you can line it up and get it right on that little piece. And I suggest you try and stamp it a little bit closer down near the bottom, because the top is what we're going to hook onto this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this image into the kangaroo's pouch that has been already die cut for you, and I'm going to leave part of that up. And then you can do however you want. You can use glue dots, or you can use some red line tape or some tear tape, whatever works for you. I'm just going to pull up a couple glue dots just to show you that. So just stick that glue dot in. Here's another one. Okay, so I've got 2 glue dots on here. And then you put this image how you want the kangaroo to be holding it. Okay? So whatever direction, however you want this to go, I think I'm going to go right here like this. Like so. And then push it into that, and now you've got your little slide mechanism. Now I got that a little bit low, so I don't like that. I'm going to have to pull that up and slide that up a bit higher so that we can see the words. Okay, so just watch for that. I should have had it down a little bit lower into the kangaroo. Okay, and so then this just slides in there, and the kangaroo is holding the presents. And how cute is that little guy? I just think that's so fun. And the slide mechanism works really well. And there you go. So now what we want to do is we want to put this onto our image, or onto the front of our card. And because it has this slide mechanism, I'm going to use dimensionals so that there's plenty of room it's not like the Kangaroo isn't tight to the card, making it hard to slide that in and out. So I'm going to use some dimensionals on here. Make sure you're not putting it on. You want it next to the slide mechanism, but not on it. And then I'm going to trim off a couple pieces off the edge for the tail. One here, and a smaller one up near the end of the tail. And then maybe a small one also on, I think just one of those ears. I think this one ear I'll put a small dimensional right there. All right, now pull those backings off. Get that one. And now I'm ready to put him onto this piece. And just be aware that some of your pieces might be over the edge, and that's okay. Just don't push it down too hard. All right, so there is my little kangaroo, and now I know where I can put adhesive on the back. And I think I'm going to do this with glue dots, just because it's a little bit tricky to put adhesive over top of this kind of lumpy stuff. So I'm going to just pull up some glue dots. On the vellum. And that's just going to hold it in place, and they're not going to show. So the adhesive won't show through to the front of the vellum. Let's see, maybe one more here. And one more up at the top, right here. Okay, now that whole piece can be placed on to the front of your card. This is so cute. Oh my word. Okay, and then the last thing I'm gonna do, and I will say that I got a little bit, that ink did smear a little bit here. Just going to clean that up a little bit. Okay, there, like that. And then I'm just going to add this other little piece just for fun. And let's see, I will put that on with, I think I'm going to, let's see, try and get that. Just like that. I think I would like it like that, and I think I'm going to use some red line tape. So if you have, you know, any type of adhesive would work. I'm just using red line tape just because it's really strong, but tear and tape would work well. You could also use glue dots on here. I'm gonna just take this in the direction I think I want this to go. So I'm just gonna kind of manipulate it like so. And then with red line tape, you just want to kind of press it down hard or even, and then pull up that red backing. That's why they call it red line tape. It's kind of got that orangey red backing on it that actually wants to stick to everything. And now I'm going to put this into that adhesive. And I'm going to start right at the end, so I don't have to cut this ball off. I might have to cut one off up here. And just like that. And then I'm going to trim off. You do have to cut through that ball, so that might be a little bit tricky. I'm just going to cut right underneath it. There we go. And there's the finished card. And I think that's super cute. It's got this little slide mechanism that says just for you. And I think that's really cute. So I hope you enjoyed that. And as I mentioned, this stamp and die set is available through the end of June. Thank you.